Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to part one of the Warrior Guide for New World. This guide's going to basically teach you how to optimize into a PvP DPS warrior type of build here. Um, there are no dedicated classes in the game. All classes are based on what kind of weapons you use. Based on the ones we use and the armor that we use, we got here a great axe, sword and shield, and we're using some heavy armor. So it's kind of like a warrior type of, vibe to it. So let's get into the skills real quick because this is going to be quick and easy here. Basically, what you want to be doing with your skills is all your points want to be dedicated to strength with this build. Um, Mainly because you want to be hitting this. Well, all of these bonuses are so good. We're not going to go over them too much because you could do that in your own time. They're just all really good. The main one over here is super good. Late and heavy attacks with melee weapons gain grit. It's just what grit does is it makes it so all of your attacks are basically uninterruptible. So if they hit you with an ability or some kind of heavy attack that might usually stagger you, what grit does is to make that stagger non-existent. So pile all of your points in the strength until you get up to at least 300 points there, and then you can focus on your constitution. But let's finally get into the skills here. So we'll start with the great axe here. This is all where you're going to get your damage from here. First, let's talk about why we chose these three abilities instead of the other ones here. So, when I first started this build, I played with Maelstrom. I thought this was going to be a really good one. I thought this was going to give us a lot of, help us out where we lack in mobility. But in reality, when you play with it, the attack, the Maelstrom itself, when you proc it, it covers a decent range, and especially when you buff it, it actually covers a lot bigger range than I originally thought it would. It was actually pretty significant, but it's kind of clunky. So, for example, if you're standing up on a hill, maybe on a slope or so, and someone's below you or above you, it doesn't even matter. The Maelstrom's gonna miss. They need to be on your level. It needs to be like right in front of the guy. So I don't like it because of that reason. Because in World PvP, you're gonna be in those like weird situations when you got guys above you, and Maelstrom's is not cutting it. Also, it seemed like sometimes it was a little laggy, I guess, every time I used it, and maybe someone didn't have the best FPS, and it seemed like they were in my range. They really weren't, and I didn't have that issue when using things like Reap and Gravity Well. So Maelstrom's a no. Whirlwind, basically, that's just an AoE attack that's built for, seems more like a PvE or maybe a PvP type of build. Not going to go into that because our build is focused on single target damage here. Reap, this is an excellent tool. I didn't think I was actually going to be using Reap when I first started this build. I thought it was going to be all about Maelstrom like I thought. But this ability is actually great. You're dealing decent damage. We'll go in later why this heal is actually good. By itself, a lot of these passives don't really work for you. They're not that great, but when you add them all together like this, they actually become very strong, and we'll get into why that is in a little bit. But yeah, Fatal Attraction, I'm still thinking about this one. Not sure if you actually really need it or want it. The weapon damage definitely is nice, and considering that Execute is the only attack we have that actually deals some good damage, this extra 115% weapon damage, we could take it. So that's our thought process beyond those two. Gravity Well, basically, what that's allowing you to do with this build is give you enough time. When you throw it at an opponent, they're going to be stuck there for about 3 seconds. So it's giving you time to set up your executes, and before you even throw this execute, you want to be stacking up your greed here, which is every time you throw a light attack, it gives you a 5% damage buff for 5 seconds, and that stacks up to 3 times. So you can get up to 15% damage increase on your hits here, which is huge, especially when you get those big executes that actually lead in the crits, giving you so much damage and a lot more healing, which is what we're going to get into in a little bit here. But lastly, talking about the skills here, I want to talk about why we're not picking up Charge, because I think this is really important. Looking at Charge, it looks like it's a really good ability. It looks like it's going to do really good for you. I originally started using it thinking it was going to be one of the most important things for the warrior to be using, but in reality, it doesn't really work so well in PvP, and here's a couple reasons why. First off, sometimes you miss with the charge, and obviously you can miss with all your abilities, but it seems like you have a really high chance of missing with charge because you might gauge the distance wrong. Um, people could see it coming, kind of move out of the way. People accidentally can easily move out of the way because there's so much time in between you casting it and you actually running up to your target. So you miss a lot. It's easier once you spec into it and you get this hit, you use your right mouse button to do a better swing. It's more like a sweeping swing, and it hits them a lot better, and it does a massive 165% weapon damage hit. So that's actually really good, especially damage wise and just range wise. But the thing is you're gonna close your target like that, close the distance, hit them with that big hit, and they can do whatever they want after that. They can block, they could run away. It's moves like Reap are making them, not only bringing them in close to you, but they're keeping them there for half a second to a second. Gravity Well, it's keeping the foe there for about 3 seconds, so you're just getting so much more utility and use out of Gravity Well and Reap here than you are Charge. So getting into why we pick these passives too, because it's funny, they're probably more important than their skills themselves in a sense. The skills are great, but what makes them really good are these skills. So we went over Greed a little bit. This is just increasing your damage. We also have over here Revenge. When you block an attack with Great Axe, gain 5% damage. So you can already see why this might be good, because we got a 15% damage increase over here. Now all of a sudden we got a 15 damage increase over here. So that's 30% damage increase if we block a couple attacks and get a good couple swings in. Bloodlust, we didn't go over this yet. So this is another reason why we don't have to worry so much about Charge, because we actually have a 30% faster movement, which is great, and we deal 15% more damage to the foe when we're looking at them. So that's a static 15% increase to our damage to anyone we're attacking, really. So we're always going to have that applied, which is amazing. So you get one stack of Greed, all of a sudden that 5% becomes 20% because you're using Bloodlust. All of a sudden you get one proc of this, one proc of that, and usually you're getting about 2 or 3 procs of this. It's not hard to get. And even in a PvP setting, you're at least always having 2 up. So you can just see the potential, synergy with these 3, just building all that fucking damage. It's really good. Another thing, if you get lucky, or you bait it out. I don't suggest you baiting this out. I like to use this one as like, hey, if I get it, I get it. If I notice that I have it, then I definitely go for my light attacks right after and try to build my damage up as much as possible. But basically, Frustration, after one of your attacks is blocked, you're getting 50% damage for 10 seconds. So this is a long time. This gives you a lot of time to work with it too. It only stacks one time, but it's a huge 15% damage increase. So again, you can see how all these skills are already playing out. I mean, you're almost getting 100% damage increase, and these can all proc fairly quick into a match. You block one attack, you swing twice, and then all of a sudden one of those swings, maybe they blocked it, so now you got 5%, 10%, 15%, 15%. I mean, like, it's so much damage adding up. Getting over to why these abilities kind of suck, but together they work really well. And we'll go over Execute in a moment here too, and a little bit of Reap here. So we have, let's just start here. There's no good place to start at this point. Critical Condition, Great Axe attacks against foes below 30% health give you a 15% more chance to actually make those attacks critical strikes. So, this is just helping with our critical strike chance, which is great because I'll show you why. Critical gains here. When you make a critical hit with a Great Axe, you heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. Okay, so you can already see a little bit of synergy with that. Now, 10% of the damage done. So you're not healing for 10% of your health. You're only healing for about 10% of the damage that you dealt off the attack that you procced for this ability. So it's not going to be a lot. Like, say maybe you got super lucky and you hit, 5 to 1,000 crit or something. Like, you're only going to heal, 100 health or so, maybe less than that. So, it's not significant, but why this is good is because we have a lot of other abilities that are actually helping us heal here. So, like Feed, for example, when you attack a foe below 30% health, it heals you for 10% of that damage as well. So, once again, by itself, not that great. We're just going to jump into the Execute because this is actually where these two come and play big time. So what Execute here does at its base, which is an amazing skill, one of our hardest hitting attack by far, powerful overhead attack, dealing 200% weapon damage. It deals this is the kicker, it deals 300% weapon damage versus the foes under 50% health, okay? That's massive damage we're getting if we're attacking someone who's below 50% health. This is great. This just gives it grit. We explained that all that's really doing is making your attack unstoppable, which is, perfect. It's great. And then here we go. So execute critical hits 100% of the time versus foes below 30% health. So basically what that means is you're always going to hit a crit off of someone who's 30% health or below, or 29% health or below, I believe, which is insane. So let's just kind of make up a scenario here. And mind you, before I talk about healing or anything like that, like this is purely for all DPS. The healing is insignificant. What this healing is actually doing for you is just keeping you up a little bit longer. It's not necessarily keeping you alive, if that makes sense. Like, it's there to let you get through your rotation one more time and bring that damage to the battlefield. It's not necessarily there for you to be a tank and to, be able to take a big hit and heal for it all the way. Like, it's not going to recover all your health. You're just going to get, towards the end, if you get a killing blow, you're going to gain enough health to be able to maybe fight another target for a little bit. Maybe if you're really good and you hit your rotations right and you get lucky, you might actually survive, a couple fights here because you have these abilities, which I think it's really important. It doesn't, at face value, you're not really going to notice it helping. You're just going to see almost like insignificant little heals, but there's going to be moments where maybe it clicks in your head like, oh wow, like, I just had those 2 fights and, I'm at maybe 100 HP right now, maybe 10% of your health is left, and you think, oh wow, that's probably because of those little heals. Like, I would be dead right now if I didn't have those heals. So, I mean, they do help, and you're getting giant hits off this execute. So when they crit and you have these critical gains, plus, your critical condition makes, your keen edge is increasing the damage of your crit strikes. So you're getting huge damages off your executes. They're fucking critting. They're even bigger. All of a sudden you're getting critical gains procs, you're getting feed procs, you're getting so much damage in the battlefield, you're healing like decent amount. Little theory craft, say you're fighting, you're throwing a reap, say that actually heals, it's a critical hit, so it heals you for the critical gains, plus you get that 30% damage done for the reap, then you hit off and execute, it crits again, they're below 30% health. Like, you could see maybe how this like healing could all add up and just be so good for you. But moving on a little bit here. So for the passes on this, gravity super, this is the only important one on this side. Very important, I think, because it's holding your foes 30% longer than what they should be off of your reaps. And your heavy pull here and your enduring strike, which we will go over in just 1 second. I don't know if this works any with gravity well. I don't think it does, and it doesn't really need to either, because gravity well is just that good. And 3 seconds is all you need to get your rotation finished on a target, especially if you do a shield bash over here, which is what we're about to get into in a moment. So yeah, very very useful with this gravity. Just keeping them in place a little bit longer, giving more utility off of your reap, almost like turning it into a mini stun / stagger tool. So what we got here is heavy pull. Heavy attacks with great axe pulls Heavy attacks with a great axe pulls foes closer to you, and enduring strike, what that does is adding grit to your heavy attacks. Maybe you don't have that 300 points in strength yet, so you don't have your grits to your soft and heavy attacks, but that's okay even if you do or don't, because this also does another bonus here, which is very good in my opinion. Not super great, but no, it's pretty great at the same time. I don't know what to think about it. It can only be a good thing. I don't know how good it might be though, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But what this is doing is giving you a 20% damage reduction anytime that you're charging up your heavy attack. So if you're trying to throw in a heavy attack and they're hitting you, it's a 20% damage reduction. Obviously, that's great. How good is it? Don't really know. Seems pretty good. I like it. Okay, yeah, we went over that. And so that's basically it for this side of this skill tree. I'm gonna be having other videos breaking down how we're actually gonna be using these talents in like real settings, and showing you how significant these small passives are actually working for you. And yeah, Just making sure I didn't forget anything. So let's move on to the sword side of things. So as you can see immediately, we are fully into the defender tank side of things. We get all our big damage from our two-hander here, so we're not worried about any more DPS once we have our sword and shield out. Once we have our sword and shield out, it's all about baiting them to use their big damage and just basically blocking and surviving, and also setting up to use our two-handers. So like a lot of this stuff's actually hard to get off without using your shield bash here, your stun, which is, you know, we'll get into that right now. Actually, we're going to go over why these three skills are so significant and work so well, and also the shining star of probably this whole build in general is Defiant Stance. This is going to be your best skill, the most underrated skill probably, because, you know, you look at it, it seems good, but we'll get into why this is such a good skill. Hopefully this doesn't get nerfed. It's amazing. But anyway, you know, obviously the reason why we're not specking the Sword Master at all is because we don't need the DPS. We get that from the two-hander, and with this two-hander, we don't have a lot of crowd control. In fact, we don't have any crowd control. And if you want to consider them not being able to walk around for 3 seconds crowd control, I guess you can. But other than that, we don't have any stuns. So we get our stun over here from Shield Bash, okay? The damage is whatever. It's 50% weapon damage. That's not important. What's important is it's stunning them from 2 seconds. This gives you an increase on your damage. Like I said, not important. And then finally, this is awesome. Your stun is increased by 1 second. So you got a 3-second stun with your shield bash once you fully spec into it, which is super important, and it gives you so much time to excuse me. It gives you so much time to start your rotations on someone. Shield Rush, this is synergizing so well with Shield Bash, and you'll see that in my later videos of how well they actually do work together. You could do a Shield Rush. Once that hits, you get a guaranteed Shield Bash. No matter what, if the Shield Rush hits, you always can get the Shield Bash after. And that's one of the strategies we go for in our beginning openers and our rotations in PvP DPS here. So yeah, Shield Bash, super good. It's our stun there. Shield Bash is also, Shield Rush is awesome. Like I said, they synergize really well together. And also another thing, you can gain if rush forward 5 meters. So and it knocks people back. So if someone's kind of trying to run away from you, maybe they're not too far ahead of you, or maybe you know you got a guy who's kind of being stationary on you. He's not moving too much because this will miss if someone's being acrobatic around you, or maybe trying to sidestep you, or you know run away, zigzag you. You know this is gonna miss. So you only really want to do this when you know you can hit them. Otherwise, you're wasting a talent. But yeah, when it does hit, it's great because it knocks them and staggers them for a second. And like I said, it allows you to be able to get your shield bash off right away. This gives them a little bit of weaken, so I guess it reduces their damage that they do. And then this is just giving them a slow for 4 seconds. Sorry, I kind of forgot what these talents actually did. So yeah, it's great. You know, the slow, obviously, self-explanatory. You want slows as a warrior. We're not the best at getting around and mobility. So finally, the Shining Star, Defiant Stance. This is such a good ability. So for 8 seconds, which is such a long time, by the way, it reduces the incoming damage by 30%. So that alone, okay, it's great. You know, nothing insane. Kind of OP, not really. You know, it's whatever. 30% damage reduction. Yeah, it is what it is. Right here, this is where this becomes actually, you know, the best move that you have by far. If your health is above 50% damage, the damage reduction is increased by 20%. So you're getting a 50% damage reduction when you spec into these two skills here, and that's insane. So you'll see when I go over how to start the openers and start your DPS rotations, how significant this ability is, especially when you're fighting against range attackers. Someone has a jump on you, you know, you pop your Defiant Stance, all of a sudden you're able to kind of charge in on them without taking so much punishment, because all their attacks, all their long range attacks are doing 50% less damage to you. And like I said, you will see that with the examples that I will present to you in the other video. Restoration gives you 50% of your max health. So this is another thing that's so great because, you know, we're using this to basically close the distance and bait out their big attacks. So obviously you want to dodge or block any of the attacks that they do, but that's not always going to be the case. So if they are going to use their big attacks, we want them to be able to do it when we're in defiant stance. That way, if they do end up hitting it with us with their big attacks, we're going to be blocking it for 50% of that damage, or reducing the damage for 50% of that damage, which is very significant. I gotta plug my mic in. Alright, sorry about that. Headphones are dying here. So, let me not lose my train of thought here. So, yeah, you'll see why Defiant Stance is so good. Obviously, I'll show you an example of that, so we're going to move into these other things and start wrapping up this video. So, Sturdy Grip is great because every time you block something, it's costing you stamina to do so. So giving that little bit of reduction of the cost of the stamina is going to allow you to block more, obviously. And defending stance, we're not trying to do damage. We're trying to block attacks, trying to get them to use their big abilities, make them go on cooldown so we can start hitting them. I'm not sure what Fortify actually does. I'm assuming it's a defensive, some kind of defensive ability. So, all well and great. There's not too much actually to be said about the rest of these, to be honest. So this is just more stamina reduction for if someone hits you with a range attack, you're going to be saving a little bit of stamina there. Your max health is increased here by 10% when you're in sword and shield stance. It's great. This is insignificant. One blocking reduces damage to all allies within 2 meters. I don't know if this helps you. If this helps you, then this is way better than what I'm getting it credit to. But it says to all allies. It doesn't say to you and all allies, so I'm sure it's just your buddies. Because if it was to you too, I mean, wow, this ability would be amazing, especially stacked with this stuff, right? This is giving you magic reduction. Nothing to be said there. One with a shield. You could take it or leave it. I have it up. I'm experimenting with this one. To be honest, all we really need out of this build is our shield rush, our shield bash, and our defiant stance. This is actually significant over here. Freeing Justice. So successfully hitting with a heavy attack causes you to lose all debuffs. So maybe if you got a nasty debuff on you and you notice it, and it's got like a 9-second ticker on you. I'm not sure about how the debuffs in this game work and how long they last and what they even might be, but in theory, this is going to be great. Anytime you know that there's a debuff and you want to go for that heavy attack, you can get rid of it. It's awesome. 33% faster blocking, mobility, self-explanatory. You want to keep moving. You want to be fast. Amazing. Awesome. And then I threw this in here just to be able to get Freeing Justice here. But final attack and your light attacks causes the enemy to be slowed for 2 seconds. So, it is what it is. It's fine. That being said, I believe that's all I really wanted to cover. Just for a general idea of why I think this is going to be, is so good. In practice, I've already practiced it. I did my theory version of it. I was using Charge and Maelstrom. That was not too good. This is definitely the way you want to go for PvP here. What's this real quick? This will be an example in my other video, but just to say it for you guys real quick, to have a little bit something in this one. Say you're face-to-face with an enemy, right? Open up with Defiant Stance, and your main objective is to close that distance. You can close that distance using Shield Rush, or just straight up getting close, face-to-face with them and hitting your Shield Bash. As soon as you hit that Shield Bash, you switch to your two-hander weapon here. You throw down your Gravity Well, okay? You do 2 light attacks, because this is giving you enough time to give off 2 light attacks, and then you go right into execute. So, obviously that's giving you great damage build, or buff, 10% here, 15% there. So, you're getting a decent damage buff. That's kind of like, I'm trying to just think a little here on the fly. But, that's basically how you want your openers to be. Obviously, in PvP scenarios, they might block your 2 light attacks, but so you might want to switch it up on them. Maybe you throw your Gravity Well, hit them with 1, and then execute. Or maybe you do light, heavy into execute. Gravity Well, heavy, light, execute. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to actually open them up and catch them not blocking. With a lot of unexperienced PvP players, and even some more experienced ones that, obviously it's only the second day of the game here, so that not a lot of people know great defense tactics here. But opening up with gravity well, or opening up with that shield bash into gravity well into 2 light attacks and then execute. Usually you've thrown so many abilities they kind of don't know when you're done taking your turn, because especially you having a 2-handed axe and not being the most hitty of the classes, to say the least. It's just kind of surprise them, and you're going to be taking your turn for such a long time. I mean, they got to sit through this 3-second stun, right? Possibly a shield rush. So right here is like 3-4 seconds of them not playing the game at all. All of a sudden, you throw gravity well. Maybe they're trying to move around. Now they can't, so they're like, oh shit, I still can't do anything. You're hitting them with 2 lights attack. They expect something to be over by now, but then all of a sudden you're hitting them with a giant execute that's dealing so much damage. So that's kind of like the theory of what we're going for. It's going to be so much more clear when you guys watch the gameplay video. I already have one up. I'll be making more soon too. So that being said, I think that about covers everything I wanted to talk about, at least. Some of these other things aren't as important, So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope to see you guys in part 2. And thank you.